Let's think about how to determine quantitatively what this reduction in vapor pressure would be for a solvent in a solution like this versus for the solvent when it is in its purest form. So just by looking at the schematic, you can sort of intuitively say that the greater the concentration of the solute, you'll have more number of these surface sites occupied by the solute particles. So hence lesser sites are occupied by the solvent molecules, and hence the vapor pressure is also decreased by vapor pressure of the solvent is also decreased by that much. So that kind of makes sense intuitively. So if you were to, let's say, double the amount of sugar dissolved in a given volume of water, you can imagine that there will be twice the decrease in vapor pressure of the solvent. So the first scientist that actually came up with a quantitative relationship to sort of describe this phenomenon was a French chemist who goes by the name Francois Marie Raoult. And what Raoult basically said was he came up with this law called Raoult's law. And Raoult's law in general, in its general form, can basically be stated as partial pressure or the partial vapor pressure of any given volatile component in a solution is going to be directly proportional to its mole fraction. So let's say in this case it's a binary solution where you have the solvent particles or the solvent molecules here, let's say, are denoted by A, and the solute particles are denoted by B. So in this case, our volatile component is just water, because the other component, that's a solute, is a non-volatile solute. So the partial vapor pressure, let's say vapor pressure of A, which is going to be directly proportional to XA, where XA is the mole fraction of water in this solution. So the proportionality constant here is partial pressure of water in its pure form. So this is the partial pressure of water in its pure form when its mole fraction is 1, then the vapor pressure is actually equal to the vapor pressure in its pure form. So if you actually were to draw a graph with vapor pressure on the y-axis and so you get a straight line. And when this is 1, this value here is P naught A. So you can even write this as 1 minus XB, which is a mole fraction of the sugar in this case, the solute, the non-volatile solute, times the vapor pressure of water in its pure form. So one thing that will possibly come up when we solve some problems or solving questions later, but I just wanted to point it out here. So if you were considering many solutions of the same molarity, it's not necessary that the number of solute particles in all those solutions is the same. What I mean by that is, let's say you take 1 molar sugar solution or sucrose solution, sucrose in water, and you take 1 molar NaCl in water. So when you say 1 molar NaCl, this is going to dissociate into Na plus and Cl minus, and so we know that. So the number of solute particles is actually doubled when it goes into the solution. So you need to keep that in mind. So this actually becomes 2 molar when you're talking about concentration. So you need to accordingly change that mole fraction, double the mole fraction when they dissociate into ions like this. So this is true only for ionic compounds dissolved in water. So the last thing I want to point out before we conclude this topic here is that if you notice, Raoult's law only actually talks about the quantities of solute and solvent in the solution. It says nothing about the type of solute or the type of solvent. So, or as far as the Raoult's law is concerned, it's the same as whether you dissolve a bag of sugar in water or a bag of urea in water. It's going to predict the same vapor pressure of water in solution as long as the number of solute particles is the same. So it doesn't talk about the type of components involved. It doesn't say anything about whether these solute and solvent molecules interact with each other, whether there is a heat of mixing involved, whether the particles are much larger or much smaller, or are they of similar size as the solvent molecules, because that is going to change the fraction of surface area that's occupied by solute versus solvent, and then accordingly change the vapor pressure of the solvent in that solution. So, and also the probability of the solute particle to be at the top or at the surface has to be the same as the probability of the solvent particle to be at the surface. So if the solution has to follow Raoult's law, we are operating under a huge set of assumptions here if Raoult's law is to be valid for a given solution. So we need to keep that in mind, and we'll talk about this in detail later when we discuss ideal and non-ideal solutions and deviations from Raoult's law. But I just wanted to mention it here so that you keep in mind that it's not binding on the solutions to follow Raoult's law. They almost never actually strictly follow Raoult's law for the entire range of concentrations. There are always deviations from this law. But this sort of serves as a good starting point or reference point to come up with a quantitative relationship between partial vapor pressures and the respective concentrations in the solution.